Hi everyone and welcome back to India Rain Rocks. So today's video is basically just a continuation from my Sunday video, which was how to camp for gigs, and because the video was just getting so long, it's basically a two-part how to camp for gigs and basically how to have the most fun camping with your friends. So if you haven't already, go back and watch Sunday's video. It won't be like confusing if you're hearing some of this information, but it will just be good because it'll be like you'll just get more info and then this video will kind of like make a little bit more sense, if you know what I mean. But yes, if you have already watched Sunday's video, then carry on watching and we will get right into it. So I'm basically just going to pick up where we left off last week, which was, what did I say? I was talking about how we'd camped for Harry for 2 nights for his Manchester tour in 2017, and then the security guard, Big John, big love to Big John, we love him, let my group of 20 in first because we were the ones that had camped for 2 nights, so he wanted to make sure that we got into the venue first, and essentially the sun's just come out, so that was a really bad exposure then, apologies for that. But yeah, he basically let my group of 20 in first because we were the ones that had camped basically for 2 nights, so we just wanted to make sure we got into the venue safely and that we all basically got where we wanted to be, which is so super sweet. So I just wanted to continue on from that and basically say that a lot of venues, despite most of them saying we don't want campers and we don't want people queuing until this time of the day, a lot of venues do anticipate campers and they do section off areas either on the road or behind the venue or even just like away from the venue, but it's kind of still venue property, and they do section those areas off for campers because they do expect them and they know, you know, they know what people want to do and they know that people want to camp. So it's really good that they do that, and my experience with that is in Bournemouth in 2018 for Niall's tour. We basically arrived to the venue, me and my mum, and we sat outside the main doors and we were the first ones there, so we kind of just sat there for probably an hour or two just kind of chatting, talking about like the whole tour that we'd done together, because I think this was about halfway through or towards the end of the UK tour, which was just crazy. And then a really lovely man who worked for the venue basically came up to us and said, "Are you here waiting for the Niall gig tomorrow?" And we said yes, and he was like, "Oh, we were anticipating campers actually, we thought there'd be more of you by now, but we've sectioned off a area in the car park basically for campers to go, so you're all safe and you're not out on the street," which I just thought was so lovely. So we followed him into the car park, and he said this entire bottom section is totally sectioned off and no cars will be coming down here, so you'll be super safe. There's security cameras everywhere, and we just thought this is literally amazing. And because it was inside, it was nice and warm, we were protected from the wind, it was great. So we set up our tent and basically just slept in this car park, which was really good fun actually, really great fun. And obviously throughout like the day more and more people came to camp, and then the next day more and more people came to queue, and it was just a really safe way of like making sure that the audience weren't going to get into like any trouble and that everyone stayed close together. And obviously we did the number system and they honoured that, which was also incredible. And it was just a nice experience, and it was so nice of them to section off the car park for us because they didn't have to. None of these people have to do this, but the fact that they do, it's just so sweet. I'd just like to talk a little bit about another experience I had camping where we were allowed to leave the queue basically all day until the doors opened. And I know last week I talked a lot about kind of saying that, you know, once you're in the queue I would stay in the queue and don't leave the queue because 1, you don't know what's going to happen, and 2, you don't want to get kicked out. But basically this has happened to me a few times now, which is just so amazing that people do this, and I'm so grateful to everyone that does it. And basically in Birmingham, in my last video I talked about how much I adored the Birmingham security, and this is another reason why I love them, because basically what they did was on the day of the gig they would obviously do the whole like reorganising the number system thing. If you don't know what I mean, go back and look at Sunday's video because I talk a little bit more about it. And what they do then is they say, right, okay, who's camped 2 nights, who's camped 1 night, who's basically slept here overnight. So everyone puts their hands up and they say, right, okay, you guys follow us, and then they take us to a separate little area where like away from the rest of the queue of people who've only just arrived that day. And they basically say to us, which is just so nice, and they usually arrive at like 10 AM, so what they say is, right, okay, it's 10 o'clock, who's been here 2 nights? So we all put our hands up and they're just like, you guys are crazy, and they kind of have a bit of a laugh with us. And then what they did was, which was incredible, and I do actually think more security need to be like this because it's just so worth it and it's just so kind. And basically what they said was, right, okay, because you guys have slept on the street, you've not been able to eat properly, haven't really been able to sleep properly because you've been outside on the floor in the cold, wet, rain, whatever. What they did was they said, come back 4 o'clock, go to your hotel, go get a proper meal, go get a shower, go have a nap, just literally do whatever you want, come make sure you're back here for 4 o'clock because the doors open at 6, and just, you know, just chill out. Just basically like, just kind of gather yourself in a way. And bear in mind, this is like 10 o'clock in the morning that they'd say this, so we'd literally leave the queue all day. And like a lot of the time, most of us would literally get ready, have some food, then go back to the queue before 4 o'clock anyway, because just in case, like we don't want, you know, we don't want to kind of take advantage of that, even though they're letting us do it and they're letting everyone else in the queue know that that's what they've done. A lot of us did like go back anyway before that, because we didn't, like I say, we didn't want to take advantage of it, even though we were allowed to do so. And like that's happened to me 3 times now in Birmingham. I've camped in Birmingham 3 times, and that has happened to me 3 times now, and it was just so nice. Like I say, they didn't have to do it, they kept our numbers, they kept everyone informed, no one minded that we'd gone for this length of time, and every time a new person came they'd tell them, so everyone was kept informed. And it was just so nice of them to allow us to kind of go and have this time away from the queue and make sure that we weren't going to like pass out on the barrier, because they know obviously if you camp for several days and you get to the barrier and like the stress of everything and then not eating and not drinking, just it can make you pass out. And my friend has once passed out unfortunately on the barrier after camping for 2 nights, and they so very kindly put her back in her spot on the barrier when she kind of got herself round. But it was scary because we thought, oh my goodness, she's camped for 2 nights and she's just passed out, and we literally like, we felt so sorry for her. But she came back full force and she was absolutely fine. It was just so nice, like I say, to let her back on the barrier, because a lot of venues do say if you've passed out, unfortunately they can't let you back, but because they knew she'd slept 2 nights on the street, they let her back on the barrier, which was so kind. I just want to go back to my point that I made earlier about my friend when she passed out on the barrier after camping for 2 nights, and it was because she hadn't eaten or drank anything over the couple of days, because she was so like nervous about getting barrier, and obviously sleeping on the street was quite a nerve-wracking like experience. And I do just want to say to everyone that camps, even if you're not camping for a gig, if you're just arriving on the day to queue, I cannot stress this enough, please eat and please drink, because I cannot even tell you, like, I've been lucky enough to not pass out or feel ill when I've been in the crowd or on the barrier, but I've like seen people around me like pass out, feel sick, literally just like all the colour in their like face will just drop out because they just like start feeling like ill or dehydrated. And I just cannot stress enough, get a drink, have a drink, please keep yourself hydrated and fed, because literally like it's just the worst thing if you're passing out. I've seen it on Louis tour in the States where he's had to stop the show to make sure fans are alright, which is amazing when artists do that, when they do stop the shows to make sure people are okay. Niall's done it a few times on his tour, I think Harry might have done it, I've seen so many other people do it. But just, you know, please just make sure you're like fed and hydrated, because I cannot tell you, it's literally like, it's just an awful feeling. Like I've never, like I said, I've never passed out on the barrier, but I have had experiences where I've not eaten or drank anything during the day, and then I'll just start feeling sick, just in my normal life, not even for a gig. And it's literally, it's just awful. It's just an awful feeling. So please just make sure you stay fed and hydrated. So another venue where I experienced something similar to Birmingham, where they let us go and come back, was Flickr World Tour in Brighton, where me and my mum basically drove from Bournemouth at the end of that gig straight to Brighton because it was the next night, and we basically slept on the street and we picked up my friend on the way and got there probably for like 1 or 2 in the morning. It was a long drive, we were very tired, so we just pitched our tent and went straight to sleep. And the venue was on the seafront, which sounds lovely, and ordinarily it would have been lovely, but there was a massive storm in Brighton overnight, so we basically woke up and we were just drenched. Even though my tent was waterproof, we were just drenched, and we were like, oh my goodness. And the reason why we woke up was because the venue security had seen us there, and they were inside the venue overnight and they'd seen us camping there, and they basically woke us up at like 7 or 8 a.m. and gave us raffle tickets basically with numbers that like let us in the order that, you know, we'd arrived. So they'd watch everyone arrive and then they'd give out raffle numbers, so, and said to us, you know, you can go now. just basically was like, leave, go, you've been sleeping in a storm, that's ridiculous, go get some food, go get dry, go get changed. Basically leave the queue, do not come back until like 4 o'clock again. Doors opened at 6, so we're just like, just make sure you're back around the back of the venue, not the front. Go to the back of the venue, tell them that this is what we've told you to do, and they'll let you in number order. Which again, another incredible experience where again, they did not have to do that. They could have made us wait in the storm because we were all prepared to do so. We had our waterproofs, we had everything that we needed to keep us dry, but they just wanted to make sure that we stayed safe and that we weren't going to get ill before the gig. So as difficult as it is to stay calm during the process of, you know, camping and then doors opening and then hitting the barrier when you finally get there, basically I cannot stress the last hour of queuing. Honestly, other people might experience this as well. The last hour of queuing is literally the longest hour I have ever experienced in my life. Literally, time just goes so slow because it's just the anticipation of like not knowing whether you're going to get barrier or not, like having camped for several days or just one day, you know, everything just, you start kind of like thinking about everything that could go wrong. Don't do that because you're going to stress yourself out so much. I have literally done that so much in the past. The best thing to do is to just act like normal. Just try not to stress so much because that just obviously just builds up a lot of emotion that you just do not need. The adrenaline you kind of need because you need to run, but everything else you don't need with it. So I would just suggest to just stay as calm as possible, just act like normal, don't check your phone. You know, you're gonna know when the doors open because the doors are gonna open, okay? You'll know. Security will get you lined up, they will make sure everything's fair, so you don't need to worry, you don't need to stress about getting other people into number order because security will do that for you. That is what they are there for. You just need to look after yourself, okay? Just make sure you are okay. I totally get that last hour, but just keep yourself as calm as possible, and I promise time will go fast and you'll get into the venue, you will hit the barrier and you will think, why did I stress? So for the majority of venues, a lot of them, you know, a lot of doors for events do open at about 6 o'clock. So what I would suggest to you is to be ready at least 2 hours before that, because you know, you don't, in those 2 hours a lot of things can happen and you don't want to miss anything. So I would be ready at the very least 2 hours before the gig, just so you know you've kind of had the morning in the queue and then you go off for the afternoon, get showered, get changed, do whatever you need to do, and then be back 2 hours before doors open. And then if anything were to happen, you know you're going to be there. And with the people that are around you, exchange numbers, exchange social medias, make sure you keep in touch with them, because if they go off to get ready and then something happens in the queue whilst they're not there, you need to keep them updated because they're going to get back and they're going to be totally stressed if there's something that's happened. So I would exchange details and just make sure you're kept up to date just throughout the whole like queue when you're not there, and then you'll be fine if you get there 2 hours before. And then anything else that happens, it's cool, because a lot of the time they can move queues around, like they'll move the queue around a little bit if it's obstructing like the pavement, and obviously things get a little bit like crazy there because there's people's belongings in the middle of the street, and like there's like numbers 150s in with the 20s, and it's like, hang on a minute. But just, you know, just be ready like 2 hours before. So I'm gonna give you one word that is literally one of the most important things that you could have with you when you're going to a gig, and that is pockets. Pockets are literally gonna be your best friend because bags slow you down, okay? No matter how many doors there are, okay? If there's a venue and it's got about 4 doors and you're like number 1 to 4 and number 3 has a bag and numbers 1, 2 and 4 don't, they're going to get in first, number 3 is going to get in after, but because they have a bag and they have to search it, there's going to be at least like 5 people getting in before you. So make use of pockets. If you have an outfit that has pockets, make use. Put your phone in your pocket, put your portable chargers in your pocket, put anything you need in your pocket. Utilize your phone case and put money in the back of it, or your card, or anything. Just, if you need a bag, obviously take a bag. I'm not saying don't take a bag, but if you can help it, don't take a bag. If you know what I mean, because it will slow you down. And obviously like that's happened to me before, where security's been searching my bag and I've literally watched people running into the event next to me, and I'm just like, will you hurry up? And it's just an unnecessary thing that you kind of don't need. And then the second I started utilizing like my jeans pockets or even like a jacket pocket, it's just literally made like the whole experience easier, because then what you do, because obviously you have to go through metal detectors, what you can do then is just put your jacket into the box, they'll slide it along, you can go through the thing, pick up your jacket and run. And then if you've got stuff in your pockets, you can just put it all down, grab it and then run whilst it's in your hands, and then when you're in the venue just start organising it into your pockets. That's what I do all the time. So obviously these videos have basically been me talking about like getting barrier and being on barrier, and in so many ways, like even though I've camped 2 nights to go on the barrier, there's been so many times where literally you think there's so many people camping and there just isn't. But I've camped for 2 nights to get that spot. And then I'll turn around and start talking to the people behind me and be like, oh, how long did you guys like camp for? And they'd be like, oh, we didn't camp, we got here at 5 AM. And they're like second row. So in so many ways, like camping, you think it's worth it, but sometimes it just isn't. Like, I know camping culture now is kind of quite big, and a couple of years ago it was big, and like obviously now it's getting even bigger because obviously gigs are coming back. But honestly, half the time it's just not worth it. Like, there's been so many occasions where I've been on the barrier and started talking to people behind me and they've been there from like 5 AM that day, or maybe even later, and I just think, what was the point in me camping? Like, I could have got there at the exact same time and still had an amazing view, probably even got on barrier. So sometimes it just isn't, not that it isn't worth it, because I've literally like had the most fun camping with my friends, but sometimes you just think, was there a point to that? Did I really need to sleep on the street for 2 nights? No. You have fun, yeah, great memories, you make friends with people, but sometimes you can just literally think to yourself, that was so pointless, never doing that again, and then you do, because that's what I've done. Also, as well, when you're camping, please, 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 I hate seeing this all the time. I see it on social media, I see it in real life, I hate it. Please pick up your rubbish and put it in the bin. Security will literally go down the queue and tie bin bags onto the barriers, and people will still leave their rubbish on the floor, like on a public footpath. It's just not nice. Like, you wouldn't want to walk down the street and step in someone's old like burger or old chicken nugget or whatever. So please just, you know, make sure you keep where you're sleeping nice and tidy, because as well, what you don't want to do is basically sleep next to food that you've dropped on the floor and not bothered to pick up. It's disgusting, it's just ugh. So please, if you can, if there's bins nearby, use them. When security put bin bags on the barrier, use them. Take your own bin bags. I've taken my own bin bags and everyone's used them and it's been great. But you can get people who do like leave their stuff, so please just pick it up and make sure the path stays all nice and tidy, because security then starts saying stuff like, we're not going to let you in until this area gets tidied, and they do mean it. So just, you know, prevent that from happening by putting your rubbish in the bin. And the last point I would like to make to anyone who's camping for an event, probably one of the most important things that you can take from this little mini series, and that is to have fun. Honestly, I've said it already in the video, but I'm going to say it again. I have literally had the best time camping. I have made some amazing friends. I have some incredible memories from camping at gigs. So just, you know, kind of forget the reason why you're camping and just enjoy the moment and just be in the moment. And honestly, it's been so much fun. I'm going to link in the description some of my vlogs that I've released in the last couple of years where I've camped for an event, where it's basically got like a load of footage that I've taken from camping, and just watch them and you'll be able to see like the incredible times that we've had. Like, we've literally played games in the queue, we've ordered food to the queue and all had like a really big nice meal together. Just, you know, have the best time, because honestly, like, it's just like one big massive sleepover with your best friends. Then obviously when you meet people there, it's just even better because you make more friends. So honestly, just have an amazing time camping. Please just like forget the reason why you're there and just enjoy the moment and enjoy being with your friends and just have an amazing time. So yes, that is basically it from me today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this mini series and that it helps you in your future camping endeavours. And if you have camped for a gig, I hope you had an amazing time. And if you're planning on camping for a gig, stay safe. And I really hope these tips have helped you and kind of, you know, informed you of what the basics of what you need to know. And if there's anything that I've missed out in this video, comment down below for others to see. And just enjoy your experience. And even if you don't plan on camping for a gig anytime soon, I hope you enjoyed listening to my experience. And like I said earlier, there are going to be some links in the description below where you can find videos of my previous camping experience and where I show you all the fun that I've had. And yes, that is basically it. I would just like to finish this video by telling you all to follow your passion, make it happen, and I'll see you all on Sunday. Bye!